Now we're going to move into the remainder of the program. So you all get this prayer thing, right? It's so serious. And the testimonies are so very serious. So I am going to make way for, we always do this place or hold the place on the program for the power of a praying woman. How many of you ever read that book, The Power of a Praying Woman, Dee Marshall? And so we always like to hear the testimony or story, because it is a testimony and a story that encourages us all. So we don't have preaching here. You know, we're not real churchy. We love Jesus, but we're not the churchy people. And so we don't have the preaching, and we don't have like the big, build up, because we like for God to be the star of the show. But I did make a call about a week ago for this Power of a Praying Woman testimony. Because my girlfriend Micheline has shared her story. Madonna has shared her story. Trey could share her story. There's so many stories here. Katanya, my cousin, could share a story. Elise could share a story, but we all fall out. But I made a call. I woke up last Saturday morning, and something in my spirit said, "Oh, you should call Lucinda," because the night before I saw something on social media. My sister friend had mentioned something on social media. She was preparing to host her 5th annual Activating America conference in Florida, today in Florida. But a week ago, when I got a nudge in my spirit to call her, what she had just had, or got word that it was Irma shut her stuff down. So Hurricane Irma, shut everything down. And so she was having to manage that. So imagine planning to serve hundreds of people, and you plan and you made yourself available to God. This is what happens. Do y'all see? Have you ever planned something? You raised your hand and you're on assignment, and then a week before, so she had to shut everything down. She wasn't able to do that. So I said, just come, can you come to Girlfriends Pray? Come, we're in Philadelphia this year. By the way, for those of you who don't know, we travel around to different cities around the globe, one city every year. Next year we'll be in Chicago. Last year we were in Louisiana. The year before we were in Florida, and the year before we were in Bermuda. Say amen, somebody. Amen. So I invited her to come, and I said, just come and share your testimony. She has many testimonies. I said, just come. You should be our guest for the Power of a Praying Woman, because you still need to be activating. Because the enemy thought that he would disrupt and steal your spirit, because you've been inviting people from around the world, try to show you up. And everything is not the enemy, but let's just go along with the story. The enemy thought he was going to shut you down in Miami. Well, the hurricane is only in Miami. Look, and you a daughter of the King, and so people know you all around the world. So it was just a phone call. How about you still be activating on September 16th? And so I invited her to come for a testimony. Her name is Lucinda. I call Lucinda Cross. I call her Queen Lady O, because there's levels to her names. Y'all will figure it out later. But I want her to come and share her story. Round of applause for Lucinda Cross, the Queen, Boss, Lady O, a woman of God, activating America. We thank and we praise God for the power of a praying woman.
I was fighting tears back there, because not because of the delay, but because how God orchestrates things for you in the midst of the storm. Amen. And so after, and I'll get to the testimony, but after, and Dr. Brandon, please keep me like that. But after a year of planning, and when I started, this is part of one of my testimonies, and thank you, Dee, so much for having me here. That's my big sister. I love her. She is somebody that you can truly look up to, and one of the first women that I was able to see outside of the walls not ashamed to say who she worked for. Who's her boss? And so I said, well, I got the same boss. So I can take the boss out the wall and still be blessed. That's right. And just let everybody know who the boss is. And when I did, and I just thank her for it, just loving on God like that. And but even when I first started planning my event, and I'll be brief with this piece because there's something else I want to share. But for anybody who wants to, feels discouraged because you've been working on something and it seemed hard even from the beginning of the process, it's been hard for you to even get pregnant with this thing, whatever it is, your book, your story, whatever it is that you've been working on, just trying to plant that seed, and it was a struggle planting that seed. Maybe this will encourage you, because even in the process of me planting the seed for the conference, and I said, this is the fifth and the final, we're going to make this grand, we're going to make this big, we're going all out, I'm calling all my connections, I want everybody to be blessed from this. And then I get a phone call to be a part of the show. And then I say, okay, I'm going to be on this show, Queen Boss. I'm excited about this. God is moving in the right direction. You feel good. You say yes to God, the doors start opening, and that's what I did. Said yes to God, and I'm like, I said yes to one thing. He's opening up 3, 4 doors over here on the right. All right, this is good. And as soon as I signed the contract, my life is, Activate was birthed out of bondage. That all my life I had to fight. Yeah, that was me. So I know I always have to stay on post, and because I know that the enemy just doesn't like my God, and so he's going to attack his daughter, right? And so I'm always on post, so I don't get snuffed. But as soon as I signed the contract for the show, the cops go to my father's house to say that they're looking for my 15-year-old son. Now, my 15-year-old son, we live in a whole different county from where they're saying something happened. So my father's like, I don't know, the cops is here looking for my grandson. What's going on? I'm like, I don't know. I just got called to go do something big in Buffalo State. God opened up another door because of my one yes. And so I said, I don't know what's going on. I'll find out. Call the detectives. I said, do we need to show up right now? What's going on? Well, your son was there in a situation, and it was like a little altercation around somebody's school, and we just want to question him. I said, well, I'm getting ready to go out of town. If it's a big deal, I won't go, but I'll send his father. Long story short, they arrested my baby for a crime that he didn't do. He wasn't there. He was 15. They said he was 24. He's 100 and something pounds. They said he was 200 and something pounds. He doesn't live where they said the crime happened, and it was a violent crime. They said that he went on an armed robbery spree. My son, at the time when this was happening, he was in his room with his other brothers while I'm packing and preparing for the show and signing my contract. So it's not where I didn't know where my baby was. That's the beginning. So that's before we even had our team call to discuss what we need to do for Activate. So the beginning of this process for the fifth and final has been a struggle to get the seed planted in the ground. But for me, it was important to understand that I have to watch where I'm getting water from for my seeds. So I had the seed, but I had to watch where I was getting the water from, and that's what I wasn't aware of. So it's one thing when you have your seeds, and so for me, my seed was, okay, let's get this done, but I was getting all the wrong water carriers to come in and pour at one time. So they were pouring their doubts, their fears, their frustrations, their lack in my activation. And that stirred up a whole lot of confusion spiritually. And although I was getting signs of go this direction, go that direction, I said, well, I think I got this, God. You told, I said yes, and you gave me the direction. So here we are, a week before the conference, and Dee's calling me, and I'm on the phone, crying. And she's calling. She called me early in the morning, but I was up 3, 4 in the morning with Robin. We're canceling all our speakers' flights, fighting on the phone, canceling hotels because Irma's coming a week prior. What happens when you don't even know about the storm coming? What happens with that? So I'm blessed and I thank God because there's storms that God is fighting that we don't even know what's supposed to hit us. Contacts I can get again, another venue I can get again. But can you get past this storm, Lucinda? When I have you plant the seed, you get the wrong water berries, but you still bear fruit. How does that happen? God is just like that, right? So you still show up, right? And then still to get to this point, where we have to cancel. Dee's on the phone. She calls and I says, I don't know, my sister's been calling, all my big sisters spiritually has been calling me, but I don't know. When Dee called, I just felt ill in my stomach. Like I know she's gonna encourage me past where I'm at right now. I want to be mad. I want to be frustrated. I want to cry. I want to kick and scream. I want to say this is not fair, and I don't want to talk to her. I went to the back. I told her after I get over this, because I want to be mad, and I don't want her to know that baby sister's mad right now. She feels like this is unfair. I had to still activate. So I get on the phone, she talks, she's encouraging me, and I'm like, oh. Because that's, you think those little, because once you get upset, the little demons say, ooh, party time, let's go. Penny, let's get in the bed with her. And I was in the bed. I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up and talk. I don't want her to know that I'm laying down and I'm soaking, and I'm on the line with American Airlines, and I'm on the line with Delta, and I'm crying, and I'm telling my husband, whatever, just y'all eat, whatever y'all eat, just leave me in my dark room alone right now. But God said it was enough. It was enough. How many of y'all know it's enough for you right now? Oftentimes do, when you get the call, you have to answer it. Because God will supersede your feelings, and that's what he did for me. He superseded my feelings. And by superseding my feelings, I had to be a big girl and stand up and say, hello. Hey, sis. Let me sit up a little bit so she don't know that I'm laying down. Yes. You have a big ass? Okay. Sure. And so when she said, what she wanted me to do, sharing my testimony, she said, you got a lot of levels to them. Whichever one you want to do, just come. And we're just going to love on you, and I needed to be in this room with y'all. So right about this hour, I'll be flying across the stage, I'll be Beyonce and boom, getting. But I needed to sit in this atmosphere, which is so clear. Don't you feel it? It's fresh, right when you know it. And the first thing, I took a deep breath because I said, I need this. There's energy in this room. And it's a surplus, so I don't have to feel like I'm stealing from one another. It's a surplus. The energy vampires, they take just a little bit you got.
Yes,
I was walk in here empty. Because I felt like things were stripped away. I had to fight for my son. And thank God his case was closed. I ended up going to an event. And I said, okay, God, I don't want to cry. I don't even want to go tell her the story. No. Hey, how are you? What she said? How are you, beautiful? What's her word? How are you, gorgeous? And I said, I'm good. She said, how are you? How's the kids? How's everything? Queen boss. My son. And she told me everything will be okay. And then another sister confirmed. And after going there months and months on TV, having to smile and act like everything's okay. Then the next week going to court to fight a case for my innocent son. Having them lock him up and arrest him for one day for something he didn't do and have to see things he shouldn't have seen or experienced. My greatest fear came to life in a matter of moments. So the storm started in the beginning, but God throughout the process. Listen, I'm a storm. So when you're a storm in the spirit, you're able to handle it. Because it's space in this room, and I'm coming to knock some things down. I'm not laying down. Don't lay down because you've been knocked out. I don't time and time again until I get to my peace. So my son gets out, everything works well, the show worked great, the planning is going, I still got the wrong water count, it's okay. And then we get to Irma, and I say, okay, Dee's on the phone, she tells me to show up, and I say yes. See, it's the yes that matters. It's the yes when you don't feel like it. It's the yes when you don't have anything.
Come on.
My bank account was clean. But I was willing to show up in Miami and give it all I got. Because I know it's not about what's in my account is not what I have my little stash, right? But it's not what okay, don't be a fool. You gotta use wisdom, right? But the business stash, right, was on a diet because you want to be extra, and God told you to do certain things, and you want to add extra stuff that wasn't in the plan, and He ain't paying for that extra stuff. You want to get exhausted and tired because you want to do blinging thing. That's good, right? So, the cancellation and the storm was a blessing. And it was because I continued to say yes. And it's because I continued to push forward. And it started, where did this come from for me? Because I'll tell you, I used to be a spiritual punk, no more. I used to be a spiritual punk, the surface level. How to sow a seed, run around the church, I was a surface level. But the spiritual side is when nobody's around and there's no tambourines and there's no bishop in the front and there's nobody unction in the spirit. I had to learn how to be the storm within my own life when nobody was around and nobody would even understand. And I was honestly too shameful to let them know that I was suffering because it looked good. And it looked like I make things look easy. But it's not. Because when they take your son, when they are coming for your son and they coming for your money and coming for your name and they're coming for the people you believe in and taking what you created and knocking it down and plucking up your seeds. So 18 years old, I go to college. It started with me. I was raised by a wonderful mother. I lost my mother. There was Dee. And I lost, she said, hey, great. Hey, gorgeous. How is it going? I know you lost your mother, but I was able to get over that. My very first conference, planning it with my mother. I lost my mother in May, Mother's Day weekend, 2013. That was the first year that Activate was, you mean to tell me that this thing is not God ordained? I lost my mother the first year that I was planning my very first event for women. How does that happen? How do I start losing in the process of trying to give and help out this game? How do you lose in the midst of gaming? So, 18 years old, raised by a wonderful mother. Raised by a wonderful mother in the projects in Gun Hill, New York. Struggle mentality. It doesn't matter. Sometimes you can take somebody out of an atmosphere and set them in the next, but if you don't shift their mindset, they'll still carry the same old junk. And they may look different, and they may age, and they may all have something else different on, but the same mindset is still there. So for me, I went from the projects to a wonderful college, private college. People didn't look like me, they didn't sound like me, and they didn't act like me. And what I idolized was the drug dealers and the strippers and the girls who had those drug dealer boyfriends because they had the surface level stuff. And it looked like success. And I wanted that because when I got to college and that was supposed to be the better place for me, I felt like I didn't fit in. So I took that struggle mentality with me to college. And I said, I don't belong here. I have to take the bus and I have to walk there driving. I have to pack my lunch and this flight with the American Express card. I have to photocopy every single page of this 300 and something page book, and they're buying books for them and their friends. They're on dorm, but I gotta go back to the projects. So they're surrounded by people who believe in them, and I'm surrounded by people who don't even understand where I'm going. I don't even understand where I'm going. So when I got approached to say, you know what, we got an opportunity. That's what I thought it was at the time, right? Because I wanted success fast. I wanted to do it on my own. God, I don't have time to wait for you no longer. I know what you said in church, but listen, maybe I can speed up this ordained prophecy. And I said yes to an opportunity. I start traveling. Here's this young girl who's never been anywhere past Coney Island, and I'm from the Bronx, and I'm going to Thailand, and Bangkok, and Japan, and Africa, and Singapore, and China, and so many wonderful places. I was able to travel under a facade of who I wasn't because I was so determined to get what I wasn't supposed to have. So I was using all the right tools at the right time for the wrong reasons. I was fearless. I was bold. I was ready to show up and show out. I was everything that this young little black girl could be. if she went to college to continue to be this lawyer that she desired. I was transporting dope at that time in suitcases. Didn't even put it on my body. I said, just give me the suitcase. We're going to make this happen. I need money and I need it now. I need to change. And so I got all the things that I desired, that I so-called thought I desired. Now I'm a project celebrity. Now everybody loves me. Now I fit in. Now I'm not going back to college because now I have what they have. But I'm not going where they go. Well, I get a knock on the door and it's the FBI. And they tell me that I'm part of a 28-person Nigerian cartel. And my case is from Chicago. And now I'm facing time. And from there, with the judge they call Hangman, who wanted to give me 10 years, he gave me 4.5 years in prison and the other 5 years on probation. That's still 10 years, right? All because I want to speed up my success process. All because I said yes when I should have said no. All because I was looking at the surface level of what success should look like, and I wanted to do it on my own, and I couldn't wait on the Lord. I didn't want to listen. And so the time in prison was horrendous. That's a whole different story, a whole nother day. I got a book about it. You can check it out. Hopefully a movie soon. But to go from prison and working on this thing called the vision board, I didn't know what it was called at that time, and just having this little board with me that I could work on, from 6 people on the compound to 20 people on the compound to now hundreds of people on the compound, working on what we could be when we get out. To come out, go back to college, restore relationships, and I did everything that I put on this little vision board. At that time, I didn't know what it was called. And I put everything on that vision board to watch it come to fruition, because I stayed determined and I used the right tools at the right time for the right reasons. And so God brought me out. And so that's like 3 testimonies in one. And so here I stand today as this black girl who was from the projects. I'm not a product of my environment. I was able to shift. Going through, a relationship, coming in. I had 2 small babies, thought it was over from love for me, but found somebody who loved and adored me, and he was half Nigerian, so I was like, wow, my mom's not going to believe this. She's going to think I know him from my past. But he was everything that I needed, because I gave up on love. Because I gave up on love, but God brought me through. So I was able to get an education. I was able to work in corporate America. I was able to leave corporate America. I was able to start my business, link up with a mentor who linked me up with Dee. So it's a matter, the process was a yes. Say yes.
Yes.
The process was a yes. Time and consecutive yes. A yes to prayer. So the power of a praying woman, to me, is in her yes. That's something that's in this belly, in this womb, that you can't take away. No one can see it. You can't see it as well, but you know it's in there. And if you begin to use your yes, it gets stronger, and it gets louder, and it gets bigger, and it touches more people, and it changes you, and it changes what you can do, and you realize that you have powers that you didn't believe that you had before, like getting up when a girl calls you, your girlfriend calls you to say, can you answer this ask? That takes a strong yes. Because honestly, I just wanted to sit in the bed and soak. Put the covers on and say, this is not right, this is not fair. I didn't care about who sees me as a strong woman. But by the grace of God, he said, you don't need to be in Miami. You're going to be over here in Philly with girlfriends praying. That's more important. You can activate. So I thank you so much for this time. And if I haven't encouraged any one of you on anything today, just remember your yes, and that will continue to bring you through. Because I'm a walking, talking yes for the Lord.
My life verse is Romans 8:28, and that's all I kept thinking